In the year 2147, humanity was closer than ever to achieving unity. After centuries of wars, divisions, and conflicts, nations had begun working together under a single global government. The United Nations Space Command, UNSC, stood as a symbol of this newfound cooperation, tasked with protecting Earth and exploring the stars. But peace is fragile, and unity can shatter in an instant. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun stood on the observation deck of the UNSC headquarters, staring at the stars through a thick glass window. He was a tall man in his mid-40s, with sharp features and short black hair streaked with gray. His uniform was crisp, but there was a weariness in his eyes that betrayed years of hard decisions and sleepless nights. Beside him stood Dr. Ji-Eun-soo, a brilliant scientist known for her relentless curiosity and sharp mind. She adjusted her glasses nervously as she studied data streaming across multiple screens. "Something feels off," Eun-soo said softly, breaking the silence. "These energy readings, they're unlike anything we've seen before." Tae-hyun frowned, stepping closer to the monitors. "What do you mean?" "The patterns are erratic, almost chaotic," Eun-soo replied, pointing to spikes in the graphs. "It's like something out there is testing us, or targeting us." Before Tae-hyun could respond, alarms blared throughout the building. Officers rushed to their stations, shouting updates as sensors detected movement near the edge of Earth's solar system. On the main screen, 12 ominous dots appeared, missiles larger and more menacing than anything humanity had ever encountered. They moved with precision, heading straight for Earth. "They're here," someone whispered, fear creeping into their voice. The missile struck without warning. Cities across the globe erupted in flames as the alien weapons obliterated infrastructure, killing millions in seconds. Panic spread like wildfire as people fled their homes, seeking shelter underground or in remote areas. Military forces scrambled jets and deployed ground troops, though everyone knew it was futile. The sheer power of the attack left humanity reeling. Lieutenant Kim Min-soo, a daring pilot with a reputation for taking risks, led a squadron of fighters into orbit to intercept the remaining missiles. His squadron darted through space, weaving between debris and firing volleys of energy blasts. Though they managed to destroy 2 of the missiles, the others reached their targets, leveling entire cities and leaving Earth in chaos. As the dust settled, survivors emerged from bunkers, their faces etched with grief and anger. Governments convened emergency meetings, debating how to respond to the attack. Captain Tae-hyun addressed the UNSC leadership, urging calm and caution. "We don't know who or what we're dealing with," he said firmly. "If we act recklessly, we risk making things worse." "These aren't random acts of aggression," Eun-soo explained during a briefing with Tae-hyun and his team. "They're calculated. Whoever launched these missiles wanted to cripple us, not destroy us completely." Min-soo leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "So what does that mean? Are they planning another attack?" "It's possible," Tae-hyun replied grimly, "which means we need to prepare for anything." As days passed, humanity began to mobilize. Factories once used for consumer goods were repurposed to produce weapons, and engineers worked around the clock to reverse engineer the alien tech. Lieutenant Min-soo trained pilots using simulations based on data gathered during his reconnaissance missions. His squadron became Earth's first line of defense, equipped with experimental fighters powered by Eun-soo's designs. Meanwhile, General Jun-ho grew increasingly impatient. Convinced that waiting would only invite further attacks, he secretly assembled a task force to hunt down the aliens. Using intelligence provided by Min-soo's reconnaissance missions, Jun-ho located a potential target, a Zorathian outpost near Earth's solar system. Without authorization, he launched a daring assault, believing it would send a message to their attackers. The operation succeeded in crippling the outpost, but came at a heavy cost. Dozens of human ships were destroyed, and hundreds of lives were lost. When news of the unauthorized mission reached Tae-hyun, he was furious. "You've jeopardized everything," he shouted at Jun-ho during a heated meeting. "If the Zorathians retaliate, we won't be able to stop them." Jun-ho crossed his arms defiantly. Better to fight now than wait for them to come back stronger. Tensions between factions within the UNSC reached a boiling point. Some supported Jun-ho's aggressive approach, while others sided with Tae-hyun's call for caution. In the end, It was decided that humanity needed both strategies, preparation for war and efforts to understand their enemy. As Earth rebuilt, Captain Taehyun gazed at the stars from the observation deck, his mind racing with possibilities. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges yet unseen. But for the first time in a long time, humanity faced the future with determination rather than despair. "We've been hurt," Taehyun muttered under his breath. "But we're not broken. Not yet." The attack had left Earth scarred, but humanity refused to surrender. Cities that once thrived were now reduced to rubble, their streets deserted and buildings crumbling. Survivors huddled in underground shelters, their faces pale with fear and grief. The skies above were filled with the hum of drones and reconnaissance ships scanning for any sign of the attackers. Humanity was on edge, knowing the aliens could return at any moment. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun stood in the command center of the United Nations Space Command, UNSC headquarters, staring at tactical screens displaying the damage caused by the 12 missiles. His expression was grim but resolute. "We can't just sit here and wait for them to strike again," he said to his team. "We need to understand who they are and why they attacked." Dr. Ji Un-soo worked tirelessly in her lab, analyzing fragments of alien technology recovered from the wreckage. Her workspace was cluttered with glowing screens, scattered notes, and pieces of equipment buzzing faintly. Engineers and scientists collaborated around the clock, trying to make sense of the advanced designs. What they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. The missiles relied on energy signatures far beyond human understanding, suggesting the attackers were not only technologically superior, but also highly organized. "These aren't random acts of aggression," Un-soo explained during a briefing with Tae-hyun and his team. "They're calculated. Whoever launched these missiles wanted to cripple us, not destroy us completely." Lieutenant Kim Min-soo, still reeling from the loss of comrades during the initial attack, threw himself into training pilots. His squadron practiced complex maneuvers using simulations based on data gathered during reconnaissance missions. Though grief weighed heavily on him, he channeled it into determination. "If they come back, we'll be ready," he told his team during one session. "But we need to learn from our mistakes." General Choi Jun-ho, however, grew increasingly impatient. He believed humanity's survival depended on striking first, regardless of the risks. "Waiting is suicide," he argued during a meeting with UNSC leaders. "If we don't act now, they'll finish what they started." Tae-hyun disagreed. "Acting without understanding will only get us killed. We need to prepare, but we also need to think." Jun-ho scoffed. "Thinking won't save us when they launch another attack." Despite the tension between military factions, humanity began mobilizing for survival. Factories once used for consumer goods were repurposed to produce weapons, while engineers worked around the clock to reverse engineer the alien tech. Dr. Un-soo made a breakthrough, designing hybrid systems that combined human ingenuity with insights gained from studying the alien technology. These innovations gave humanity a fighting chance against their unknown enemy. Min-soo led training exercises for pilots, pushing them to master the new systems. His squadron practiced hit-and-run tactics, simulating battles against alien ships. Though guilt still lingered over his role in the initial disaster, Min-soo focused on preparation, knowing every second spent training could mean the difference between survival and extinction. Meanwhile, General Jun-ho secretly assembled a task force to hunt down the aliens. Using intelligence provided by Min-soo's reconnaissance missions, he located a potential target, a Zorathian outpost near Earth's solar system. Without authorization, he launched a daring assault, believing it would send a message to their attackers. The operation began under cover darkness. Jun-ho's forces launched a surprise attack, targeting key structures within the outpost. Explosions lit up the void of space as human ships unleashed volleys of energy blasts. The Zorathians responded quickly, deploying swarms of drones and launching counterattacks. Despite their advanced technology, the outpost suffered significant damage, with several civilian areas caught in the crossfire. When news of the attack reached Tae-hyun, he was furious. "What have you done?" he demanded, confronting Jun-ho in the command center. "This wasn't sanctioned. You've made things worse." Jun-ho crossed his arms defiantly. "I did what needed to be done. They were planning to attack us anyway. Now, They know we won't back down. Before Tae-hyun could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Sensors detected increased activity near Earth's borders, signaling another attack was imminent. The Zarathians had mobilized a massive fleet, larger and more menacing than ever before. Kale, a Zarathian commander, broadcast a message directly to humanity, his voice cold and unforgiving. Your aggression confirms our judgment. Prepare to face annihilation. Panic swept across the globe as people braced for the inevitable. Military forces scrambled to deploy ships, knowing they were outnumbered and outgunned. The battle began in orbit, with human ships clashing against the sleek, insectoid vessels of the Zarathians. Min-Su led his squadron into fray, weaving through enemy fire with unmatched skill. The hybrid ships performed admirably, their weapons cutting through Zarathian shields and damaging their hulls. But the aliens' numbers were overwhelming, and losses mounted quickly. Pilots screamed over the comms as their ships were destroyed, leaving debris drifting in the cold vacuum of space. Back on Earth, Dr. Eun-Soo monitored the battle from the command center, her fingers flying across keyboards as she analyzed data and rerouted energy to critical systems. Her heart raced as she watched the odds tilt against humanity. "We're losing," she whispered to Tae-hyun, who stood beside her, his jaw clenched tightly. "There has to be something we can do," Tae-hyun replied, his voice heavy with desperation. "We can't give up now." Eun-Soo's eyes widened as inspiration struck. She remembered the alien technology, the same energy signatures that powered the missiles. If they could replicate its frequency, they might be able to disrupt the Zarathian systems. "I have an idea," she said urgently, "but it's risky. If we overload our reactors using the same energy pattern as the missiles, we might be able to neutralize their fleet. It could work, but it might also destroy us in the process." Tae-hyun hesitated, weighing the options. Time was running out, and the Zarathians were closing in on Earth's atmosphere. "Do it," he said finally. "We don't have a choice." Eun-Soo relayed the plan to Min-Soo, who coordinated the remaining ships into position. The hybrid fleet formed a tight formation around Earth, their reactors charging to critical levels. As the Zarathian fleet prepared for a final assault, the humans unleashed their payload, a massive burst of energy that rippled through space like a shockwave. The effect was immediate. Zarathian ships faltered, their shields collapsing and weapon systems failing. Kale's flagship staggered under the strain, its once mighty engine sputtering as it retreated into the depths of space. The surviving alien vessels followed, leaving Earth battered but intact. Cheers erupted in the command center as the threat subsided. For now, Tae-hyun sank into a chair, relief washing over him. "We did it," he murmured. "But at what cost?" The victory came at a heavy price. Thousands of lives have been lost, and much of Earth's infrastructure lay in ruins. Satellites were destroyed, cities damaged, and resources depleted. Yet, amidst the devastation, there was a glimmer of hope. Humanity had proven it could stand against even the most advanced foes, if only barely. Min-Soo returned to base, his uniform singed and his face streaked with soot. He approached Tae-hyun and Eun-Soo, his voice hoarse but steady. "We survive," he said. "But this isn't over. They'll come back." Tae-hyun nodded, his expression somber. "They will. And when they do, we need to be ready." Eun-Soo stared at the screens displaying the remnants of the battle, her mind racing with possibilities. Maybe next time we won't have to fight alone. If we can prove ourselves to them and each other, we might still earn their respect. For now, humanity had bought itself time. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but Earth remained standing. As Tae-hyun gazed at the stars, he knew one thing for certain. Humanity's journey into the cosmos had only just begun. The victory over the Zarathian fleet was a fleeting triumph, leaving Earth battered but alive. The skies, once filled with a hum of alien ships, were now eerily silent. Humanity had survived its first major confrontation with an extraterrestrial force, but the cost was staggering. Cities lay in ruins, their streets deserted and buildings reduced to rubble. Power grids flickered, struggling to provide even basic electricity to survivors huddled in underground shelters. The psychological toll was just as heavy. Fear and grief hung over the population like a dark cloud. Captain Yoon Tae-hyun stood on the observation deck of the UNSC Horizon, gazing at the stars. His mind replayed the events of the past weeks: the devastating missile attack, the unauthorized assault by General Choi Jun-ho, and the desperate gamble that saved Earth from annihilation. Each decision had been a gamble, each action a lesson learned the hard way. He clenched his fists tightly, feeling the weight of leadership pressing down on him. "We're alive," he muttered under his breath. But for how long? Dr. Ji Un-soo worked tirelessly in her lab, analyzing data from the battle. Her hybrid technology had proven effective against the Zorathians, but she knew it was only a temporary solution. The aliens' retreat wasn't a sign of defeat. It was a tactical withdrawal. They would return, stronger and angrier than before. Un-soo poured all her energy into improving the hybrid systems, determined to give humanity a fighting chance when that day came. Lieutenant Kim Min-soo, still haunted by guilt over his role in the initial disaster, threw himself into training pilots. His squadron had taken heavy losses during the battle, and every casualty weighed heavily on him. But he refused to let despair consume him. Instead, he channeled his emotions into preparation, drilling his team relentlessly. "We can't afford to make mistakes next time," he told them during one session. "If they come back, we need to be ready." General Choi Jun-ho, however, remained unrepentant about his actions. Though officially reprimanded for launching the unauthorized attack on the Zorathian outpost, he continued to argue that humanity needed to take bold steps to survive. "They see us as weak," he said during a meeting with UNSC leaders. "If we don't show them we're willing to fight, they'll crush us without hesitation." Tae-hyun disagreed. "Fighting alone won't save us. We need to find a way to communicate with them, to show them we're not their enemies." Jun-ho scoffed. "And if they refuse to listen, what then?" "Then we adapt," Tae-hyun replied firmly. "We learn from our mistakes and prepare for whatever comes next." Despite the lingering tension between military factions, humanity began rebuilding. Engineers repaired damaged infrastructure, while scientists worked to restore power grids using insights gained from Un-soo's research. Factories repurposed materials salvaged from destroyed ships to build new vessels, ensuring Earth's defenses were stronger than ever. Civilians pitched in wherever they could, volunteering to clear debris or tend to the wounded. Slowly, life began to stabilize. Un-soo made a breakthrough in her lab, uncovering a critical weakness in the Zorathian fleet's energy systems. By replicating the frequency of the alien missile's core, she discovered a way to disrupt their shields and weapons. The challenge was scaling the technology to affect entire fleets rather than individual ships. She shared her findings with Tae-hyun, who immediately authorized further testing. "This could be our edge," Un-soo explained, her eyes alight with determination. "If we can deploy this on a larger scale, we might stand a real chance against them." Tae-hyun nodded. "Do whatever it takes. Time isn't on our side." As weeks passed, the hybrid fleet grew stronger, equipped with upgraded weapons and enhanced shielding. Pilots trained extensively, mastering complex maneuvers designed to outsmart the Zorathians. Morale improved slightly, bolstered by the knowledge that humanity had already faced extinction and survived. But peace was fragile. Reports came in of increased Zorathian activity near Earth's borders, signaling another attack was imminent. Sensors detected massive ships assembling in deep space, their designs more menacing than ever before. Kale's voice echoed across intercepted transmissions, cold and resolute. "Your defiance will end. Prepare to face judgment." Tae-hyun called an emergency meeting with his team, including Un-soo and Min-soo. "This is it," he said grimly. "They're coming back, and they're bringing everything they've got. We need to hold the line at any cost." Un-soo proposed a daring plan, using Earth's moon as a staging ground for a counterattack. By positioning hybrid ships behind the lunar surface, they could ambush the Zorathian fleet as it approached. The strategy relied on precision timing and flawless execution, but offered the best chance of turning the tide. Min-soo volunteered to lead the operation, knowing the risks involved. "If this works, it could buy us the time we need," he said. "If it doesn't, well, we'll go down fighting." The plan was set into motion. As the Zorathian fleet descended upon Earth, the hybrid ships launched from their hiding spots, unleashing devastating volleys of energy blasts. The ambush caught the aliens off guard, forcing them to divert resources to defend against the unexpected assault. Min-Su led a squadron with unmatched skill, targeting key vessels and creating chaos within the enemy ranks. Back on Earth, Un-Su activated the upgraded hybrid system, amplifying the energy output to disrupt the Zorathian fleet's shields. The effect was immediate. Ships faltered, their weapons failing as they struggled to maintain cohesion. Kale's flagship staggered under the strain, retreating deeper into space as the surviving vessels followed suit. When the dust settled, Earth remained standing. The victory was celebrated cautiously, as everyone knew the war was far from over. Taehyun addressed the crew, his voice steady but tinged with exhaustion. "We bought ourselves time, but that's all. They'll come back, and next time, we need to be ready." Un-Su reflected on the battle, her mind racing with possibilities. "Maybe there's still hope for diplomacy," she said softly. "If we can prove we're capable of change, maybe they'll see us differently." Min-Su nodded, though doubt lingered in his eyes. "Let's hope so, because if they don't, we're going to need more than just upgrades to survive." As the galaxy loomed large and uncertain, humanity took stock of its resilience. They had faced destruction and fought back, not perfectly, but with courage and ingenuity. For now, Earth endured, battered but unbroken, and as Taehyun gazed at the stars, he allowed himself a small measure of hope. The road ahead was long and fraught with challenges, but humanity had shown it was capable of rising to meet them. The aftermath of the second battle left Earth scarred but defiant. The Zorathians had retreated, their fleet battered and broken, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time before they returned. Humanity had proven it could fight back, but the cost of survival was heavy. Cities lay in ruins, resources were stretched thin, and the population lived in constant fear of another attack. Captain Yoon Taehyun understood that simply holding the line wasn't enough. If humanity wanted to survive and thrive, they needed a plan that went beyond brute force. Dr. Ji-Un-Soo worked tirelessly in her lab, analyzing data from the battles and refining the hybrid technology that had saved Earth twice. Her breakthroughs revealed something unexpected. The Zorathian energy systems weren't just weapons. They were also tools for sustaining life. The alien missiles that had devastated Earth relied on energy signatures similar to those used by the Zorathians to power their civilization. This discovery gave Un-Soo an idea. "If we can replicate their energy patterns," she explained to Taehyun, "we might be able to disrupt their systems or even repair what we've damaged." Taehyun nodded thoughtfully. "It's risky. They might see it as another trick, but it's our best chance." Lieutenant Kim Min-Soo, still grappling with guilt over his role in the initial disaster, threw himself into preparing for a diplomatic mission. He trained pilots to escort a small delegation safely to Zorathian territory, knowing that any misstep could reignite hostilities. "This isn't about revenge anymore," he told his squadron during a briefing. "It's about proving we're better than the mistakes we've made." General Choi Jun-ho, however, remained skeptical. "They won't listen," he argued during a meeting with UNSC leaders. "They see us as primitive and dangerous. Why would they trust us after everything that happened?" "Because we're giving them a reason to," Taehyun replied firmly. "We're showing them we're not just survivors. We're builders. If we don't try, we'll never know." With preparations complete, Taehyun led the delegation aboard the UNSC Horizon, accompanied by Un-Soo and Min-Soo. Their destination was a Zorathian homeworld, a planet shrouded in mystery and protected by layers of defenses. As they approached, Kale's voice crackled over the comms, cold and unwelcoming. "You dare return? What do you want now?" Taehyun stepped forward, activating the external speakers. "We've come to make amends, to fix what we've broken and prove we're worthy of peace." There was a long pause before Kale responded. "Prove it." Un-Soo presented the repaired energy system, designed to integrate seamlessly with the Zorathian network. She explained how it worked, emphasizing humanity's willingness to learn and adapt. Kale listened silently, his glowing eyes unreadable. Finally, he gestured for them to follow him to the heart of the city. Inside, the delegation marveled at the intricate designs and advanced technology surrounding them. Machines hummed softly, performing tasks with precision and efficiency. Un-Su installed the hybrid system, her hand steady despite the weight of the moment. When she activated it, the room lit up, and the damaged sections of the energy grid began to stabilize. Kale watched closely, his expression softening slightly. "You have shown ingenuity," he admitted. "But trust is earned through actions, not words." "We understand," Taehyun replied, "and we're ready to take that step, together." Lyra, a compassionate Zorathian scientist who had admired humanity's resilience, spoke up. "Perhaps this is a chance for both our species to grow, to move beyond judgment and embrace cooperation." Kale considered her words, then turned to Taehyun. "Very well. We will test your commitment. Work with us to restore balance, not just here, but across the galaxy." Over the following months, humanity and the Zorathians forged an uneasy alliance. Engineers collaborated to rebuild damaged infrastructure, while scientists shared knowledge and insights. Pilots like Min-Su trained alongside Zorathian warriors, learning new strategies and tactics. Slowly, trust began to grow, built on mutual respect and shared goals. Back on Earth, cities flourished once again, powered by clean energy derived from the hybrid technology. Forests regrew, oceans cleared, and skies brightened. Humanity stepped into a new era of exploration, joining the Zorathians in mapping uncharted territories and discovering wonders that inspired awe. Dr. Un-Su reflected on how far they'd come, standing in her lab surrounded by glowing screens and humming machines. "We started as strangers," she said softly. "Now we're partners." Captain Taehyun shared her sentiment, gazing at the stars from the observation deck. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges yet unseen. But for the first time in a long time, humanity faced a future with hope rather than fear. Together with the Zorathians, they had taken the first steps toward a brighter tomorrow, a tomorrow shaped not by division, but by unity. As the starship soared through the cosmos, leaving Earth behind but carrying its hopes and dreams, Taehyun knew one thing for certain. The future was theirs to shape. The alliance between humanity and the Zorathians marked a new chapter in Earth's history. What had begun as a war of survival transformed into an opportunity for growth, cooperation, and redemption. The scars of the past remained, ruined cities, lost lives, and lingering fears, but humanity refused to let those wounds define them. Instead, they focused on building a future where peace and unity could thrive. Captain Yoon Taehyun stood on the observation deck of the UNSC Horizon, gazing at the stars. His mind replayed the journey that brought humanity this far, the devastating missile attack, the reckless assaults led by General Choi Jun-ho, and the desperate gambles that had saved Earth not once, but twice. Each moment had been a lesson, each decision a step toward understanding their place in the galaxy. Now, as he looked out the vast expanse of space, he felt a sense of pride, not just in humanity's resilience, but in its capacity to change. Dr. Ji Un-Su continued her work, now collaborating openly with Zorathian scientists. Together, they pushed the boundaries of technology, combining human ingenuity with alien expertise. Their efforts led to breakthroughs that benefited both species. Clean energy systems powered entire planets, advanced medical treatments cured diseases once thought incurable, and terraforming projects restored barren worlds to life. Un-Su marveled at how much they had achieved in such a short time. "We're not just repairing what was broken," she said during a meeting with Taehyun. "We're creating something new, something better." Lieutenant Kim Min-Su, who had once struggled with guilt over his role in the initial disaster, found purpose in his new role as a bridge between humanity and the Zorathians. He trained alongside alien pilots, learning their strategies and teaching them about human tactics. Over time, friendships formed, built on shared experiences and mutual respect. Min-Su often reflected on how far they had come. "We started as enemies," he told Taehyun one evening. "Now we're allies. Who would have thought?" General Choi Jun-ho, though initially resistant to the alliance, eventually came to see its value. His aggressive stance softened as he witnessed the benefits of cooperation firsthand. Though he still believed in the importance of strength and vigilance, he acknowledged that diplomacy and collaboration were equally vital. "I was wrong," he admitted during a briefing. "Strength isn't just about weapons. It's about working together to protect what matters." As months turned into years, Earth flourished. Cities rose from the ashes, powered by clean energy and sustained by advanced technologies. Forests regrew, oceans teemed with life, and skies cleared of pollution. Humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, no longer as victims or aggressors, but as defenders of freedom and progress. Pilots like Minsu ventured into deep space, mapping uncharted territories and forging alliances with other civilizations threatened by remnants of the Zorathian Empire. When the Zorathians' former leaders, a faction determined to reclaim their dominance, launched a final assault, humanity stood ready. Using upgraded hybrid ships and advanced strategies, they fought alongside their former enemies, driving the invaders back decisively. Kale, the Zorathian commander who had once viewed humanity as primitive, defected to join their cause, bringing valuable intel about the Empire's weaknesses. Together, they dismantled the oppressive regime, ensuring peace across the galaxy. In the aftermath of the victory, Captain Taehyun addressed the survivors of both species. "Today, we prove that unity is stronger than division," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've taken the first steps toward a brighter future, one where we stand together not as separate beings, but as one people." Dr. Un-Soo reflected on the journey, standing in her lab surrounded by glowing screens and humming machines. "We started as strangers," she said softly. "Now we're partners in every sense of the word." Lieutenant Min-Soo nodded, his expression thoughtful but resolute. "And if anyone tries to take that away from us, they'll have to go through all of us." As Earth looked to the stars, Taehyun allowed himself a small measure of hope. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but humanity had shown it was capable of rising to meet them. They had awoken their vengeance and transformed it into something greater, a force for unity, resilience, and hope. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but humanity no longer faced it alone. Together with their allies, they forged a coalition dedicated to protecting freedom and fostering progress. As the starship soared through the cosmos, leaving Earth behind but carrying its hopes and dreams, Taehyun knew one thing for certain. The future was theirs to shape,